as I mentioned, that Islam has the solutions to the problems of the West. Time doesn't permit us to discuss all the problems and solutions which Islam has. We'll just pick up a few and discuss a few of them. As I mentioned, that the Western world is drowned in materialism. It's a materialistic world. More concerned about trying to see the welfare of the body so much that they have been drowned in materialism. And Quran has a solution. Quran says in Surah Tawbah, chapter number 9, verse number 34 and 35, it says that spend of your wealth in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and give a warning to those people who bury gold and silver and spend it not in the way of Allah, those who hoard their gold and silver and spend it not in the way of Allah. Announce to them a grievous penalty, that fire will be produced from the wealth which they have hoarded. It will be heated in the hellfire, and on the day of judgment they'll be branded with it on the forehead, on the flanks, and on the back. And the Quran says that this life is a test for the hereafter. In Surah Mulk, chapter 67, verse number 2, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created death and life to test which of you is good in deeds. And the Quran says in Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse number 185, that kullu nafsin zaikatul maut, every soul shall have a taste of death. The final recompense shall be paid on the day of judgment. And anyone who enters the garden, that is Jannah, and is kept away from the hellfire, he would have achieved the purpose of this life. For this life is but goods and chattels of deception. Quran says this life people are running after materialism. It's a goods of chattels and deception. But a person who's safe from the hellfire and enters the garden would have achieved the objectives of this life. People spend too much money, etc. And Quran has a solution for the spendthrifts. Quran says in Surah Isra, chapter number 17, verse number 26 and 27, that spend not your wealth like that of a spendthrift. Well, do not be a spendthrift, because spendthrifts are the brothers of the devil. That means if you spend excessively, you are a brother of the devil. And today, throughout the world, including the Western world, you have a system that in order to hoard more wealth and to gain more wealth, you use your wealth to eat other people's wealth. In English, it's called as bribing. The Quran says in Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 188, that squander not your wealth on vanities, and do not use your wealth in order to use it as baits to judges, so that you may eat other people's wealth. That means do not use your wealth as a bribe, as bait to judges, so that you may eat other people's wealth. Bribing is prohibited in Islam. The problem today, which the West is facing, and it has also seen to it that the other parts are facing because of it, is riba, is interest. Today, the Western world is in problem because of riba, because of interest. And they've seen to it that they've passed this disease even to the other parts of the world. It started in England by the King of England. He said that you give money, I'll keep it with you, and then I will give you interest, fixed interest on it. And that's how the present interest-based banking system started. And they have spread this fever, this disease, throughout the world. The Quran mentions about riba. The word riba is given in the Quran in no less than 8 different times. It's mentioned in Surah Al-Imran, chapter number 3, verse number 130. In Surah Nisa, chapter number 4, verse number 161. It's mentioned in Surah Rum, chapter number 30, verse 39. Thrice in Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 275. It's also mentioned in Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 276, and in Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 278. The word riba is mentioned in the glorious Quran no less than 8 times. And why it is haram, etc., I've given the talk on interest-free economy promulgated by the Quran for people who want to know the reason why Islam has prohibited riba, and the riba includes interest over and above. People say that, oh no, riba doesn't include interest, modern interest. It only means usury. And I've described this in detail. People can avail of my video cassette. Time doesn't permit us to go into the minute details of economics in this talk. But just like to give the translation of two verses of the Quran. That is Surah Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 278 and 279, which says that, oh, you believe, give up your demands of riba, of interest. And if you give not your demands of riba, interest, take notice of a war from Allah and His Rasul. I mean, anyone who deals with interest, Allah and His Rasul will wage a war against you. There are various sins mentioned in the glorious Quran, which are big sins, gunaya kabira. But this particular sin, besides being a grave sin, it also says that anyone who deals with interest, Allah and His Rasul will wage a war against you. So if you deal in interest, you're challenging Allah and His Rasul for a war.